The last thing we're going to do in this module is we're going to set up a dashboard to monitor performance of our Redshift cluster. Now, AWS actually makes this extremely easy for us through CloudFormation and CloudWatch. CloudWatch is their monitoring solution for pretty much all AWS services, not just Redshift. The number and type of metrics that you get depends on what AWS services you're using. You can see it tells me I have 196 individual CloudWatch metrics available to me through the services that I've been using. Right out of the box, Redshift accounts for 180 of those. Now, if you dig into the available metrics, for example, I'm going to click on the node metrics here. These are metrics specific to individual nodes within the cluster. I have all kinds of options. And as soon as I click on one of these, for example, let's click on database connections. If you've ever used perfmon in Windows, CloudWatch is pretty much just perfmon. But in addition to monitoring individual metrics and statistics, you can also set up alarms and triggers off of these alarms to do things such as alert you to, let's say we had more database connections than we were comfortable with. Just going right down the list here, I can add CPU utilization, I can add read latency. I get metrics for a significant number of things that I might be interested in regarding my Redshift cluster. And you can see all the clusters that we've set up, WLM test, the Abacos data warehouse. All of these can be built into dashboards. Now, creating a dedicated dashboard to my Redshift cluster is extremely simple. I just click on Create Dashboard here under the Dashboard section. I'll give it a simple name. And then I have these 4 individual widget types that I can add to the dashboard. So for example, if I wanted to add a line widget, I could go back to the node metric and add a widget to track how many active connections to my database I have. It's just like we saw on the CloudWatch page, but now I've added it as a widget into my performance dashboard. I'm going to provide you a link to the documentation on all the different metrics that come right out of the box for Amazon Redshift. There are far more than we have time to go through. And like I said, if you've ever used perfmon, this is going to be pretty straightforward. It's pretty self-explanatory, so we won't spend a lot of time going through those. Instead, what I want to do is show you another AWS Labs project that has an incredibly useful dashboard. Going back to GitHub, look up Amazon Redshift Monitoring under that AWS Labs GitHub page. We see here under the Goals page, the point of these monitoring metrics is to provide information surrounding these 2 documents, the top 10 performance tuning techniques for Amazon Redshift and the Advanced Table Design Playbook. A significant portion of this course has been based on many of the exact same topics covered in these 2 articles. And these are the same 2 articles that I gave you in the very first module, the introductory module to this course. Now, the way you can set up these CloudWatch metrics through this project is through another AWS service called CloudFormation. It's basically an automated deployment of some pre-built templates. And this implements what is called a cloud stack. Now, if you wanted to set all of this up manually, you could. The instructions are right here on GitHub. But it's far simpler to just go ahead and launch a stack. We have 2 columns, one for if your Redshift cluster is within a VPC, and one if it's just a standalone Redshift cluster. And basically we just jump right back to CloudFormation, but with a pre-specified template here in this box. All I have to provide is the interval for when my metrics are captured, the cluster that I'm going to connect to and get those predefined metrics, the database name, the primary user of the database, and then the password. Now pay attention here. What I just pasted in is the password, but it's encrypted. It has to be encrypted using the AWS Key Management Service, KMS. Now the last 2 things I have to provide is a host name, which is actually this endpoint here. And if we go back, you can see it is the cluster endpoint address that it's asking for. I'll remove the host port because that is found here, 5439. Click Next. I'm going to go ahead and accept all of the default options. And then to finish this out, I just have to acknowledge a couple additional items. Acknowledge that it's going to create those IAM resources and give them custom names. Now the change set is all the code that's actually going to implement all of these things. It's going to create the functions, the rules, the permissions, and then add the roles to make it all happen. The first couple of times I did this, it really confused me why these dialogues popped up. Create stack, create a stack set. And then I realized it's because the stack that I had asked to be created hadn't quite gotten here yet. So if you just click refresh a couple times, within just a minute or two, you should see that stack. If you go into that stack and click on the Events tab, you can actually watch in progress as each of those items are built. We talked about the performance best practices and the items that it's going to be monitoring, but now let's take a look at the dashboard that you could actually create from those additional metrics. You see the different widgets here. You could look at things like the average commit queue time. In other words, the amount of time a query spends in queue before it commits. Over here, this would be a good one to set an alert on, identifying when columns appear that haven't yet been compressed. This one here is similar to one of the system tables that we queried in that previous module, the queries scan no sort. In other words, it'll show you queries that are doing heavy scans but aren't sorted in accordance with those scans. All of these are very good things to be investigating and keeping an eye on to improve your performance. Now let's say you have a custom query that you really want to add to this dashboard. The beauty of GitHub is you can download all of this code and modify it yourself. Now the easiest place to do that is here in this user queries JSON file. By enhancing this file with your own queries, you can then deploy this project, and it includes anything that you've added. And with that, let's go ahead and summarize where we've been in this course and maybe just take a glance at one or two little final things before we close up for good.